out there. Still looking good on the dial. The 16th of February, and Taranto and I are about to sail around the South Island of New Zealand. This is the first time I've been on the boat solo so far this year, 2017. My man Jason has just left the building. He's left him at Furno Lodge. He's on that boat over there in the background. He's about to whiz past. Feeling pretty good about things. I'm going to try and get through the Tory Channel on the outgoing tide. And the achievable goal of the day is Christchurch, probably Akaroa. Nervous anticipation that's been building for so long is enormous. But look where I'm going. Bye, Jason. Captain's log, 17th of February, another 9 o'clock, the day after the last one. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm dying for some wind. I just want some wind. There's been no wind. Jason left. I motored out through Tory Channel. I've been motoring ever since, essentially. It was spectacular going out through Tory Channel. Didn't see any ferries. Got out there and just motored south. Got picked up by the tide. Tide was with me. Got down to Cape Campbell fairly easily, just on dusk. Crossing Cloudy Bay, got joined by a huge pod of Hector's dolphins, which was a really nice ending to the day. Wicked sunset, but frankly the night was terrifying. Lisa sent me a text saying she thought I was quite brave, and in actual fact I was just constantly trying not to panic and not have a panic attack. Mainly it was dark, and so it was so dark you just couldn't see anything. In fact, a funny story is the auto helm's been on, obviously, and I tried to steer myself to try and get a better, better use of the small amount of wind I had. I ended up going round and round in circles. It was impossible to know which way you were going. It was quite amazing. So I just put the auto helm on, keeps it straight on. I am well off Kaikoura. In fact, 12.4 nautical miles off. So I'm a long way off, because that's where I thought the wind was. But there is just no wind. And the wind was supposed to come before the rain, and the rain arrived. And there's a bit of a swell. And it's all predicted to get much worse. So I'm still a bit nervous, particularly going into the second night. The noises that it makes, the gurgles and the whooshing past of the water is a bit freaky. Every now and then, you just start imagining things. You see why people go crazy at sea. But the dolphins were worth it, and so were the albatrosses. There's albatrosses everywhere, and they're just amazing. They just glide over the surface. Tried to get some photographs of it, didn't even come close. Freakiest thing was this morning when it started getting light again. All of a sudden I felt 100 times better about the situation, because you can see. But I wasn't watching, and heard this thump, thump, bang, bang. And I thought I might have run into a buoy, although that's one of the reasons I'm so far off Kaikoura, is to avoid the crow pots. It sounded like that. But so I immediately dived for the gear lever and knocked her out of gear in case somebody was going to wrap around the prop. And it was a bloody log. It was about 6 foot long, about so round. Could have done some quite big damage if it had hit the right thing. But at the time I was only sort of wallowing at 3.5 knots, so the impact speed wasn't that great. But I've been keeping a close eye down below for leaks ever since. But that's 9, that was 7:30, so past the worst of it. Well, I hope you're enjoying the dulcet tones of the diesel. I know I have been. I'm only joking. What a horrible noise. It's been going on for so long, so I've been chewing through the gas. But I want to try and get down before the serious part of the rainstorm hits. And currently, I think I've still got about 18 hours to go. I am having a whale of a time, but it'll be better when it's over. So ends this trip report. My God, I've got whales out here. I've got freaking whales. There's a thing. It's just come over the horizon, right? And it's just on dark. So I'm a bit concerned because there's probably going to be others out there with the albatrosses. But guess what? This is a first for me. I got some tracking software, OpenCPN, and for the first time ever I set up that device there, which is an AIS engine, plugged into one of my antennas, and then it goes through one of those adapter things into the USB port, and it displays it on the chart. It's right there. That's fantastic. Now this device can even send up a warning, makes a warning bell whenever I'm on a collision path with any other ships. Shit, that's good news, because you really wouldn't want to bump into one of them in the night. That's good news. One of the reasons that's superb is I've had this going for a while now. Well, since yesterday. But I couldn't tell because it didn't, there were no ships about. So this is the first ship. Look, it gives me the name. What can I do? I can show you the details. Target query. That's it. That's everything about that. It all came via radio. Jeez, you gotta love AIS, eh? Superb. Saturday, the 18th of February, day 3. It's just 2:15, and I've just kind of woken up because I arrived here quite late, 4 o'clock in the morning. So this is the first part. This is, as I said to Jason, achievable goals, and the achievable goal was to get from Furno Lodge in Queen Charlotte Sound to Christchurch, and I made it, and it feels unbelievable. Coming in last night in the early morning, smell of the port hills burning, the lights, the traffic, you know, big ships coming out from Littleton, because I'm 2 bays along from Littleton and Pigeon Bay, which is great. Highlights would have to be the dolphins. Those Hector's dolphins were just incredible. Couldn't believe there were so many of them. And the whale, to actually see a whale. I mean, I had a bit of a nightmare scenario where I might hit a whale in the night or something like that, because there are so many of them around Kaikoura supposedly. But I saw one in the middle of the day, and it was enormous. It was just, I think it was sick though. Yeah, I've got some video of that. It was just sitting on the surface, and it wasn't diving at all. And but it was enormous, and it was cool. The other thing was the albatrosses. Those albatrosses, when they get their little tips and they just skim the surface, it's remarkable. Love those things, and there were so many of them, and they'd come in pairs or groups, and yeah, beautiful, beautiful birds. I did hit a log, which was enhanced my feeling of vulnerability, because being that far offshore, I think I got up to about at least 15 nautical miles offshore, which is a long way. If something was to go wrong, it's going to take a while for someone to turn up, if they ever do. So it was a little bit terrifying in that aspect, and that was exaggerated in the night time, where it was so dark. The moon's not coming up until 11-12 now, and so for those first 4 or 5 hours, really, really nerve-wracking, because you just can't see anything. I think I explained about losing your sense of direction. And you know, if something, anything, one of these tiny little things was to go wrong, you'd be right in it so quickly. But the exhilaration of actually making it here was awesome. I made a decision in the middle of Pegasus Bay. I was planning on going to Le Bon's Bay, but Le Bon's, Akaroa, or this place, Pigeon Bay. And I decided on Pigeon Bay because Le Bon's was no good in a easterly, and there was easterly predicted, and Akaroa was quite an extra 4 or 5 hours, and I've been on the go. I think it took me, 43 hours to get non-stop from Furno Lodge to right here. So to add another 5 or 6 hours onto that could have been potentially disastrous. As it was, I crawled in here in the middle of the night, in the early hours of the morning, and just doing 4 knots, picking my way through. Luckily the moon had come up, obviously, so I could see the hills and the ranges, but just never been here before, so that was a bit nerve-wracking. The departures, Dennis and Joanna, they've left now. They left last night, 1 o'clock in the morning, so they're on their way, so that'll be good, and I'm really looking forward to having some company, because this vulnerability that I come back to, it's really nice to know that someone would be in the vicinity, and just travelling in company will be great. So I'm looking forward to catching them as they swing past. I might go around to Akaroa to stock up on some stuff. Meeting all the rest of the crew that are doing the circumnavigation would be good as well. That track is working really well, isn't it? Anyone who goes to taranto.nz can see exactly where I've been, and I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people who have seen that and commenting. Thank you, Nick and Annette. I've got the AIS working, so I can see ships. Ships are larger than 3 tons, have to give out this automatic identification system thing over the radio, and I bought this thing on Trade Me ages ago, and connected it up, and it pretty much worked straight away. I think I said I couldn't get it to work because there were no ships. As soon as all the ships, in fact, I saw a large container ship on the horizon, and I thought, oh, that'll be close enough. Looked, and sure enough, it was on the chart. So that's absolutely phenomenal. Of course, it doesn't have all the other pleasure craft on it, or some fishing boats, because I want to keep their location quiet. But at least it sorts out the big fellas for me. I got a few maintenance tasks to do. The stern gland, the bilges are filling up quite a lot, and I've got a bit of a diesel leak and a bit of water coming in. The water, I believe, is just a stern gland. I'll just tweak that up today. And the diesel, I thought it was my tank still leaking. I've got a bit of a tap. I'm going to give that a tweak, see if I can stop that drip, drip, drip. But last night coming in, there was quite a strong smell of diesel, so I had investigated and discovered that the diesel filter on the engine was dripping fairly regularly. So I tightened up a couple of things there and stopped the drip, I think. So maybe that's the big problem, but it's just something to keep an eye on as I travel along. But all in all, things are really, really good. I'm feeling fantastic. Like I said, coming in here in the middle of the night was just exhilarating, absolutely exhilarating. And so I'm just going to do a few things. I'm going to check the oil, because I started thinking I've worked the engine really hard, harder than the engine has ever been worked on Taranto in the 8 years I've owned it. So I'm a bit concerned about that. So I'm just going to check the oil levels today, and check the stern gland, and because these are the things you don't want to be mucking about in the bilges when I'm out there again. So the next stop will be probably Akaroa, or that, or I'll just go right around and head on south. So I'm watching the weather windows, and I'll keep you updated soon as Taranto sails the world.